Crescent Moon Club, in association with ABT, presents Omnibus Unlimited, a roundtable discussion of provocative subjects which must be addressed today. Radiovision for the 21st century. Hello again, everyone. I'm Laurence, Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited. Tonight, our topic for discussion is respect for other life forms. With me to address this subject is seeker and producer of Omnibus Unlimited, Mr. John Horrigan. John, thanks for being here and having this show on a subject I think is very important and, as I say in the open, must be addressed.
Thank you very much, Larry.
Respect for other life forms. When I was a young man, I remember taking the life of ants and other bugs and beetles and insects just as simply as I might pop a pimple or eat a piece of bread. Killing other forms of life here on this planet, as opposed to elsewhere, I suppose, but was just a normal course of events for me when I was a younger man. But as I've grown older, and now I'm 39 going on infinity, and I have developed a respect for other life forms that goes beyond words. I'll try to explain it in this half hour, but it's either something you know or you do not know. It is something you either understand or do not understand. It just seemed to come to me one day, and when I recently, and I mean that a couple of years ago, saw a father showing his daughter what ants were for, and naturally he was stepping on them, saying, "See, honey, this is what ants are for," and just snuffing their life out. And that act seemed extremely abhorrent to me. I couldn't help but turn to the man and say, "No, that's not what they're for, and you shouldn't show her that, because that's not what they're here for. They're here to live their lives just as we are. Whatever purpose they have or we have, it really doesn't matter." Respect for other life forms is paramount for me. Now, I mean, there is a line that you must draw. If I'm out going to the post office to collect mail from the post office box, where we get all those letters to Omnibus Unlimited from our listeners, I ensure that the post office where my box is in Dover, it's naturally in a wooded area right next to the police department, and there are a lot of ants, a lot of other bugs. And as I'm walking to the front door, I make sure I look down on the sidewalk and ensure that I do not step on other life forms accidentally. Now, I realize that my car will roll over an occasional ant, or if an animal jumps out in front of me while I'm doing 60 miles an hour on the road, I am not going to swerve for that animal. My life in that situation is far more important than that animal's life, and I will not kill myself to save some cat. You've got to get your priorities straight, first of all, and whenever I hear about an individual who's had a car wreck trying to avoid some animal, in some cases I would say even a human being, trying to avoid hitting something that is not going to destroy their car, I think that's rather sad. But these are things in terms of driving that you have to think about ahead of time. But when I draw the line when insects and other life forms will invade my home. So if ants or bugs in mass invade my home, then I will destroy them. They have the rest of the outside to live in. They can leave my house alone. But it's the indiscriminate taking of life that I abhor. Going out of one's way to hit a cat, or going out of one's way to to terrorize a dog. We just heard a report on TV not too long ago of abuse. A man of Asian descent was abusing 16, 17 German Shepherds up in New Hampshire, to the point where one of the dogs, 2 of the dogs out of 16 had to be put to sleep, euthanized as they call it these days. One of the dogs that was euthanized was still alive, obviously, and had maggots crawling in and out of its back. It was too weak to even stand up. I mean, we're talking about something that's really gross here, and so that sort of thing. And of course he said, well, they're just animals. Just animals. And it's people like Rush Limbaugh who I'm very concerned about people like that, because they have very little regard for other life. Now I am not a zealot. I do not go out of my way to get involved with groups that want to preserve certain species. I think that that's okay in certain circumstances, but to go out of our way, there have been many species of life forms on this planet, and there will be many more. We are responsible for the destruction of only a very few. Nature takes care of most of the rest. Of course, it takes care of all of the rest, I suppose. But humans are only responsible for a certain amount. But it's what I like to see, especially in myself, is thoughtfulness. Getting out of the way of the occasional moth that'll come into the house. I'll have a moth that will come into the house. I'll try to capture it gently and then release it. Put it out the window. It only takes a few moments. A few moments longer than smashing it up against the wall with a newspaper. But then again, you have to draw the line. A moth really won't hurt me. It might eat a hole in my clothing, but big deal, I'll get another piece of clothing. Mosquitoes, female mosquitoes, on the other hand, are dangerous to me, I believe. Because in light of AIDS and so forth, I don't want to say that AIDS can be transmitted by mosquitoes, and I'm not suggesting that at all. But I'm just saying, in light of all of these diseases that we have that involve the blood, why should I have some being sucking mine out of me, and in place leaving some anticoagulant to fester for 3 or 4 days? No, this is not good, and I will kill any female mosquito on sight. I'll try not to leave a big splotch mark on the wall, but it's if it's within my range, it's dead. Cockroaches, I will kill cockroaches if they're in the house. But if anything is outside in its natural habitat, I won't try to kill it. The mosquitoes, I'll just shoo them away, or if it lands on me, I'll kill it. But anything that's outside, hey, it's home. I'm not going to kill some life form in its home, but if it comes into my home, watch out. But John, your thoughts on this? I'm sure that, like anyone else, myself included, you've seen some indiscriminate taking of life forms, and of course I'm excluding. I think that it's by this time the listener gets the idea that I'm talking about life forms other than human. I'm talking about a view of life in general that is not so anthropocentric, not viewed from the standpoint of the human being. I know a lot of people that think that everything here was put here for humans. What do you think about that, John?
That is the most egotistical idea in all of humans, is that exactly it's here for humans, and I even thought that way and assumed that for probably the first 22 years of my life. We're destroying this planet. You're talking about respecting other life forms. This is a living planet that's dying for what we've done to it. We're stripping it. We're killing all the vegetation. I wanted to get into plants, what you think about plants, what you think about food. Now, I eat pork, I eat beef, I eat chicken. I'm a carnivore, a meat-eating carnivore, or omnivorous, right? And even if you're herbivorous, you're eating something living. We eat fish. Aren't I killing other life forms? That's the biological self that I'm surrendering to. The biological entity that I am, that I must eat. So yes, for me, in order for me to live, I have to kill. Isn't that sad? In order for a human being to live, they have to kill. Now, what about murdering one of your own species? Now, is there some sort of pecking order, or is an amoeba any different from a human being? Aren't they all life forms, right? Is it paramecium? Is there a pecking order then? I can't kill a rabbit, but it's okay if I killed an insect. Would God look at that when everything's all told up about your sins? I think, yeah. I think there is some sort of stratification there. But then again, wouldn't a bull be more important than a little baby bunny that we slaughter? So is vegetarianism the right way to go? But still, for Linda McCartney and Paul McCartney, you're still eating something that's alive. You're caught up in a paradox. And you have to kill in order to survive. Now, you said some of the predators that man has. I've always maintained the only predator man has is aliens that are contacting. That's our predator. They're a highly advanced species. They're a combination reptile, insect, human being. You know, what we should have evolved into had something not intervened, but that's another show. Other predators or pests. Okay, now what about these biblical swarms of locusts that filled 70% of the sky when they're attacking? Or you'd have to kill them. Okay, so pesticides, morally, are they wrong, or ethically are they correct? I think you were talking about mosquitoes. I'm thinking about those horseflies. I love killing them. They hurt. I mean, I know. My instinct is to kill them. My instinct is to kill mosquitoes, and sometimes I confuse that with moths. Like you said, a moth is just an ugly butterfly. No biggie. Doesn't transmit diseases. In fact, a moth is eating other bugs, right? Spiders, people freak when they see spiders. You don't have to kill a spider. Spiders are very good, and that's why. Why do you think you hear that wives' tale that it's bad luck to kill a spider, or a spider's going to rain? You know, because they're very good. They're not hurt. I know that Mr. Martinello. I know we're not going to do a show on spider bites, but Mr. Martinello, who grew up the street from me, about 5 houses in 1964. I was 2 at the time. Died of a coronary that was directly attributed to a rare tropical poisonous spider bite while he was on his hammock in Dedham, Massachusetts, in the Green Lodge area. So, just to think that you're out of the woods because you're in New England or for any part of the world, no, there are tropical spiders that can take your life. And he was sleeping on the hammock when it happened. He died right there and then. And so, that's a fascinating story. Now, cockroaches. Cockroaches will inherit the earth. They're very difficult to kill. They seem to develop immunities like the human being does to vaccinations and inoculations. But these pesticides that we're trying to kill them with, they breed their way out of it. They're going to inherit the earth. There's no question. Gigantic cockroaches like you see in Damnation Alley, those old sci-fi Armageddon movies. Absolutely. Bet on it. Insects are getting bigger.
Well, I think it's interesting we're back onto the cockroach thing because back in the 60s, the United States government was trying to figure out why is it that after a nuclear attack and all of the radiation is spreading around all over the place, all of the life forms in a given area will die except for one life form, that being cockroaches. Now, my question is, what is it about cockroaches that will allow them to live through heavy radiation? So, I think you're right when you say that cockroaches will inherit the earth.
And I know that you're an agnostic. You don't believe you believe in a God, but you believe in a God. Yeah, no, his name's Ted, right? His name's not God, but he does everything that God does. So, but you believe in Ted. I believe in God. But he puts. I mean, how can you not believe in God or Ted as Larry does? I'm an iconoclast, but with all the things that he put. Everything is put on this earth. Every single living thing is put here for a reason. You know, I mean, whether it's a plant or whatnot. I mean, just. But you were talking about ants, and I've victimized ants before.
Sure.
I mean, tortured them.
A lot of people have. I remember I burned some once.
You're talking to the mic, Larry.
I burned an ant colony one time. Poured gas on it and set it on fire. Just burned them.
That's sick, man.
Oh, very sick. But those days are past me. That is part of me. It'll always be part of me. It's who I was. I am much more aware now, much more enlightened. But getting back to what you were talking about, yes, human beings, because of their nature, their biological nature, at this time, with medical science as we understand it, we need to feed off of death. Even vegetarians feed off of death. That is to say, they kill plants in order to sustain themselves, to get the molecules that are necessary to propagate our species. And until medical science can come up with some alternative, synthetic alternative to getting our nutrients from life forms, then that is the way it'll be. And, you know, it's unfortunate. There's no reason to become a zealot in these cases, trying to say, well, we're terrible, we're barbarians, we feed off of death, which is true. There's no reason to go off the edge of the world. When medical science comes up with a synthetic or an alternative to feeding off of death, I will welcome it. And then perhaps I'll eat some benign thing that is not really alive. They'll probably come up with synthetic burgers and chicken pie and so forth. Something like perhaps what you see on Star Trek, where no one really feeds off of death anymore unless they actually choose to. But yes, John.
I was just going to say, Lara, when you deal with these swarms, look at the army ants, but look at the killer bees. I'd like to do a show on the killer bees. I'll write that down sometime. About they have arrived in the United States, in Florida and Texas. And they tried to have them mate with a gentler species, breed them with a gentler species, and it didn't work. Rejected. They're biting everyone, man. So, but I was thinking about when you were saying, I see these bumper stickers. I just wrote this down. I break for moose. And I want to have bumper stickers that says, I hope I ain't behind you. And you were talking about like these moose, because moose are stupid. I mean, they have a brain. I mean, look at Bullwinkle. He's just dumb. You know, I mean, who would want to live in Frostbite Falls, Minnesota? You know, although Dylan and McHale are from there, but and Roger Maris, all from Hibbing, Minnesota. But if you see one of those things, and how many people have died or gone through the windshield hitting a deer or a moose, and that's due to their stupidity because they freeze when they see these lights. One other story: we're crossing country, 1984, late May. I just graduated from college. I go out with my cousin who just graduated from graduate school. We go cross country to see my other cousins living in San Diego. We're coming now, the canyon, the day in the canyon, which said, leave nothing but your footprints. No, take nothing. I forget what it said. No, but it just said something like to leave nothing but your footprints and take only pictures or something corny like that. And we're coming back down the highway. It was my turn to drive. And my cousin is asleep, long day and stuff. And I'm looking for a hotel. I missed it. We passed near Denny's, and I missed it. We were going out to Winslow, Arizona. And on the highway, it looks like there's litter. We're driving across the desert, and we're descending from 7,000 feet altitude to sea level abruptly, a cool drive down. And I'm saying, what's litter doing way out here in the desert? And I looked close, and I said, I was still so disgusted with man, I thought I was out in barren civilization, you know, ripe for an abduction. And I looked down, there were little tiny mice. Man, I was driving over little tiny mice, white mice that were crossing the road. They were all waiting for my headlights. It was sick, scary. I slowed down to stop, and they all mill about. I'd never seen something. There must have been a huge herd that I kind of swathed through, and I mean, there was nothing I could do. You know? And I remember playing it's fess up time. I remember playing with Tonka trucks when I was like 8 or 9 and putting a toad inside and running over it. My father being furious with me, and I just remember that sticking with me. I could never kill anybody, kill anything, you know? I don't understand why our species is murdering each other. Why? I mean, isn't there any guilt? Can't they see that it's wrong? We're killing our ocean. We're killing our atmosphere. We're killing all the trees. And I've often said that we'll run out of trees. The only way that we'll realize is when we have nothing to wipe our butts with, when we have to stand up.
Very interesting, John. I think that I'd like to take issue with you when you say that we're killing this planet. Yes, I agree with you that this planet is a living, breathing thing. And by the way, if you've just joined this program, the name of this program is Omnibus Unlimited. And tonight our roundtable is discussing the subject of respect for other life forms, which John and I have been doing for...
We have 6 minutes left.
We have 6 minutes left. But my goodness, John, what was I talking about?
You were going to take offense to something I said.
Yes, the living, breathing earth. Yes, we may be killing the water and the trees, but we're killing it for ourselves. This, as George Carlin has said, this planet will shrug us off like a bad case of fleas. Yeah, we're throwing nuclear waste into the water, and when we should be ejecting it to the sun. And try to remember that there is nothing wrong with waste. That is a natural function of being a human being, creating waste. I mean, we do it every morning when we get up out of bed. We go to the bathroom and we get rid of our waste. So waste is good. It's an indication of progress. But it's where we're putting it that is bad. That is to say, we're throwing it in the ocean, we're throwing it in...
Where are we supposed to? Where are we supposed to dispose of our waste? Think, man, we only have like 4 or 5 minutes, but waste is another show altogether. Why don't we just think of where that's been put for the last since man has walked on all fours. It's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is, and I'll just close on that because that is a whole other subject in and of itself. The space elevator is you eject it to the sun where it is burned up into its base atoms, and that's the end of it. But no, we can throw all the garbage we want into this planet, and we will die. And thousands of years from now, this planet will fix itself.
You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And not only the planet, in conjunction with God or Ted or the creation, will shrug us off this planet like fleas.
Well, look at it any way you like. Whether the Earth gets rid of us through some earthquake, tidal wave, or whatever, whether you want to read in biblical intervention in that. And so, getting back to our discussion on respect for other life forms, I think it's important that we as a species, because remember, there is, after all, only one race, the human race. Frankly, I tend to think of ourselves as a species. The white species, and the yellow species, and the red species, and the black species, and so forth. But we all are one race, and we've got to begin to cherish the life forms that are here. And I know that there are some cultures that do respect other life forms. But then again, there is the pull and the tug. Some life form, some societies, cultures will respect one life form, but not another. So it's difficult, and until we decide to respect all life forms, unless they are invading us, like ants or mosquitoes or killer bees, then we really shouldn't be killing these things. You were driving over mice. Well, you know, once you realize that maybe you'd want to slow down and stop eventually because you know you're killing them, but there's no reason to swerve. in a situation like that because they cannot destroy you. Whereas in the moose situation, you do want to get out of the way of a moose because a moose can destroy.
And you don't want to be behind one of the morons that break for mooses.
So you want to get out of the way of moose because they can destroy your car and you along with it. But little white mice, well, that's too bad. They decided at the...
They were like lemmings.
They decided at the wrong time to cross the road. And like all lower life forms, and I don't mean lower meaning that we're better. I'm just saying that they see headlights and they freeze. They don't know what they are. So they stop to look. I mean, it's a bright light. Moths will fly into a flame, for Pete's sake. They're drawn to bright lights, as we are sometimes with UFOs and so forth. So the bright light thing works on different levels. I can see very easily where a human being can be stunned by a pair of bright lights coming out of the sky. You wouldn't know what to do. You'd freeze. They come out of the sky. A car, you know what a car is. You get out of the way of a car. You've seen it before. But if two big bright lights came at you from the sky, what the hell would you do? You'd freeze. You'd try to assess the situation and then move, but usually by that time it's too late because Scotty's got a lock on you and you're up.
And we're out of time.
And we're just about out of time. So that will have to end our discussion of respect for other life forms. I'd like to thank seeker and producer of Omnibus Unlimited, John Horrigan, for having this show tonight, probably my favorite subject.
That's great. You know, we thought about this show about a week ago doing this segment, and I thought about that statement about you changing sides of the road so as not to crush ants. That's very kind, and I'm sure the good Lord will look down on you with great affection because of that.
Well, I think about that. I think about what Ted might think when I do go from one side of the sidewalk to the other to avoid a number of ants. I'd like to add that Omnibus Unlimited is seeking aspiring artists and videographers to display their works on our visual backdrop of various episodes of Omnibus Unlimited. If you're an artist or videographer and would like to have your work displayed on this show, please send a letter of inquiry to Omnibus Unlimited, Box 577, Dover, Massachusetts, 02030-0577. Please include your name, address, phone number, and area of study. All inquiries will be answered. For the rest of our viewing and or listening audience, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or if you'd like to be a guest on Omnibus Unlimited, that address once again is Omnibus Unlimited, Box 577, Dover, Massachusetts, 02030-0577. And all letters to Omnibus Unlimited will be answered on a show designed specifically for answering our viewer mail. I'm Laurence Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited, saying thank you for your attention, good night, and good luck. Omnibus Unlimited is a presentation of ABT.